The objective of this lesson is to learn about fill, align, and sign parameters in string formatting in Python. So let me show you one more time the syntax of the format method and all the possible parameters which can go inside the curly bracket. Here is a curly bracket, and these are all the parameters which can go in the curly bracket. Notice that so far we talked about position and specifications, when the specification parameters itself can have these parameters in it. And last time we talked about width, precision, and type. In this lesson, I would like to talk about fill, align, and sign parameters. Let's talk about fill and align parameters and see what do they do. First of all, you know about the width parameter, which in this case in the first curly bracket is 6 and in the second one is 7. And last time we also talked about the type parameter, which in both cases we want an integer to be printed. Now let's talk about two more parameters. The first one is called fill and the second one is called align. So let's see what do they do. The fill character actually fills the empty spaces if there are any spaces left, and the align character determines if the output value will be left aligned or right aligned or centered. So let's see what happens in this example. If I execute these lines of codes in Python, what I get is x is equal 7 to x, 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 and y is equal to z, 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 38. Now let's see how this happened. As you already know, the first thing the Python does to build the output string is to scan the template string until it encounters an open of a curly bracket. So in this case, it scans and the characters are going to be x and the equal sign. So it copies that exactly to the output. Then it goes and works on the curly bracket. First of all, it knows that it has to reserve minimum of 6 spaces, and it will add spaces if needed. And then he also knows that he has to go and get the value of the argument at position 0, which in this case would be 72. However, when it wants to bring this in here, the symbol which looks like the less than sign tells him that you want this to be left aligned. Remember, if you do not include that less than sign in there, all numbers by default will be right aligned. But in this case, you explicitly told Python that you want your number to be left aligned. Next, Python looks at the fill character, and that tells it that if there are any spaces left, then fill it up with that particular character. In this case, that character is x. Remember, that character could be any character that you want. So in this case, Python fills up the empty spaces out of the reserved space with x's. Then it's going to scan the template string again until it encounters the opening of a curly bracket and copies that part down exactly the same. Then it goes and works on the second curly brackets. First of all, it knows that it has to reserve minimum of 7 spaces. That's what the width parameter tells it. Next, it knows that it has to go get the value of the argument which has the index of 1, which in that case would be 38. Then it also knows that it has to right align it because you have a greater than sign in there. Now remember, by default, all numbers are right aligned, but in this case, you explicitly mentioned that you want a right aligned. So that's what it does. It brings the 38 and right aligns it in the field that it is prepared. Next, it knows that the fill character in this case is z, so it fills up the rest of the spaces with z's, and that's of course the end of the string, and when you print the string you see the output. Let's see another example. In this example, I have a string dog, which is assigned to a variable s. I have another string cat, which is assigned to a variable p. Then I'm using the format method to print these two variables. And if you run this program, you see that the result would be x is equal to dog, asterisk, 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 space, and space, y is equal to hash sign, cat, hash sign, hash sign. Let's see how this output is generated. The first thing Python does again is to scan the template string until it encounters an opening of a curly bracket, which in this case would be x and equal sign, and it copies it to the output string. Then it goes and works on the curly bracket. The first thing it does, it looks at the width and notices that the width of this is 6, so it reserves minimum of 6 spaces. Next, it knows that it has to go get the value of the argument with the index of 0. It would be dog. Next, it knows that it has to left justify this value in the reserved field. How does it know that it should left justify the value? Because the align symbol is less than sign. In the next slide, I will show you the table of the align symbols, but they are very simple. The less than sign means left align, the greater than sign means right align, and the caret means center. Of course, there are some other ones, but these three are the most important ones. So in this case, Python goes and gets the value of dog and knows that has to left align it in the field. Next, Python knows that the fill character is an asterisk, and that is what it does. Next, Python scans the template string again until it encounters the curly bracket again. So copies that portion of the string directly to the output. Then it starts working on the second curly brackets. It reserves 7 characters and it will add spaces if it needs it. Next, it knows that it has to go get the value of the argument with the index of 1. That argument is p and the value of it is cat. Then it looks at the alignment and it notices that the alignment is a caret, which means you intend to center this value in the specified field. That's what it does, and brings the cat and puts it in the center of the field. And next, what it does, it fills it up with the fill character, which is in this case is hash sign. And now finishes the string, and if you print it, that will be your output.